Check, 1, 2.
Awesome. He has to see it.
Check, 1, 2.
You're welcome.
Hello, Z. Okay, so right-click on where it says Robert Peterson and rename it. Oh, not there, actually, just on the icon. So if you go up to actually the square where it says Robert Peterson. Yep, right-click. Rename, and try that. Let's make it Student Gov. I don't know if Student Government will fit, but we can try it.
Okay.
Let's try that. Let's see how it fits. Try government. Let's see if we can get the whole thing in there. Yep, that's what I thought. So Student Gov it is. Thank you, Z.
Testing, testing.
Test, test.
Kara's better than Andrew.
Funny. That's me.
Let me test Arnavi's mic. This one's V's. Oh, okay. Ooh, freaking things. This is problematic.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, you ready? Okay, if we could get people to take their seats, we're gonna start. So I'm gonna go ahead and officially call this meeting into session at 4:01. Okay, so first we're gonna start like always with roll call. Senator Bigd.
Present.
Senator Gustafson. Senator Gabbard. Senator Vondra.
Here.
Senator Alimo. Senator Alimo. Senator Mendonça. Senator Mendonça. Senator Parte. Senator Parte.
Here.
Senator Salim. Senator Salim. Senator Nemo.
Here.
Senator Hussain. Senator Khan. Senator Suna.
Here.
Senator El-Sadi.
Present.
Senator Elbera.
Present.
Senator Osman.
Here.
Senator Stiff. Senator Nelson.
Here.
Senator Weinzierl. Senator Wickman. Senator Ruiz.
Here.
Senator Wheeler.
Here.
Senator Shimazu. Senator Shimazu. Senator Roddick. Senator Bejarano.
Here.
Senator Swancutt. Senator Flynn. Senator Walfort.
Here.
President Trenny.
Present.
Vice President Waltari. Speaker Seversal. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and move on to presentations. We're going to switch. We're going to switch the agenda around a little bit and have Bill Tourville and Maddie Barrett from the student events team speak first. So if you guys want to come on up. And then do you just want to double check that that mic's on?
All right. Hi, my name is Madeline Bear. I am the Homecoming Partnerships and Promotions Chair. And as many of you know, we are not having a formal homecoming this year. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to keep the Maverick spirit alive between students, alumni, and staff. So to kind of make up for this, we decided to host a Spirit Month. So this is going to be starting next week on September 29th, and it will go through the end of October. We're starting off with the Maverick Roundup Carnival, which is a carnival like if you have seen our previous Splash Carnival. Thank you very much. We have done a bunch of different activities and games for students to come and participate in. In particular, with the Maverick Roundup, we have a bungee jump game, a lasso activity, and a bunch of prizes for students to win. On Thursday, we are doing a drive-through farmers market out in Lot 20. So students will get in their cars. We will have a line of packers and someone who's going to run the produce out to the student in their car, and they can drive off. And then Saturday, we have a partnership with a esports group on campus where we will be hosting, co-hosting with them an esports tournament. I personally do not know a lot of details about that. However, our graduate assistant, Noah Mickey, has been in more contact with them and can give you guys more information if you are curious about it. The next week, we have we have a 3D chalk artist that's going to be coming in and going to be doing something on the mall. We're not quite sure yet, and it's going to be a surprise to you guys too, so we'll just see how that works out. And we also have a kickball tournament on that Saturday. That is teams of 8, and students can register on site out on the softball fields. On the 12th, we are starting our royalty voting. Registration for royalty has already opened, and the deadline will be on October 9th. So if you know anyone or are interested yourself in royalty, that is open right now. Also on the 9th, our deadline for competition teams. Again, that registration is already open, and you can contact Hunter Whitmore, our homecoming competitions chair, for more information on that. Going back to the week of the 12th, we also have a map hunt. If you do not know what that is, we have this app called Goose Chase, where students will basically go on a scavenger hunt around campus looking for certain things and enter to win certain prizes. On the 13th, we have our food eating contest that will be right here in Ostrander and live streamed to students. Also on the 13th, we have a car smash, which will be out in the mall again, where people will get the chance to let out some of their anger and frustration out on a car. On the 19th, we have a craft event, which we're kind of still in the works with that. However, it will be surrounding more of a Halloween thing. We're gonna hopefully carve some pumpkins, paint some pumpkins, do something for people that they can do at home, safe, and rather easy for us. Now on the 26th and the 30th, we will be hosting the medallion hunt. That will also be over Goose Chase this year. More information about that will be posted soon, or else you can contact Ella May, our Spirits and Traditions chair. On the 28th, royalty voting will end. So students have their final chance to do that. And then our lip sync and coronation will be on the 29th. Now, lip sync, again, is going to look a little different this year, too. Lip sync will actually be shown as a live stream in a different way. We will have competition groups come in early for their practice and performance, and they have certain social distancing rules involved with that. They will come in on a different day, and we will record them. And now, for the live stream part, we will have judges, and students will be able to watch live as the judges and also watch the judges' commentary there too, and we will see the Maverick Royalty winners that same day. Another thing still in the works for the end of the month is a movie marathon brought to you guys by Stomper Cinema, and that will entail maybe one day up to 3 days of a Halloween movie marathon with some possible trivia. And that is the total month that we have for Spirit Month in the works right now, with some changes if needed. We also have a homecoming spirit and game day shirt, kind of all in one, on the next page. This is our Masks on, Horns Up shirt. And we wanted to kind of capture the spirit that we should have. You know, we are all Mavericks, and we want to show our pride. And it is an interesting time. Therefore, from our original homecoming design to now, we have come up with the Mask on, Horns Up shirt that is also going to be the logo of All Spirit Month. And that is all we have.
Wonderful. Are there any questions? Vice President Maltari.
I don't have any questions, it's just a comment. I just want to thank you guys to come up with creative ideas and keep up the school spirit in these difficult times, and I really appreciate all your hard work. Thank you so much from student government, I think. Everybody agrees with me.
Two things I want to really encourage you to do are tell your constituents about that drive-through free farmers market. Tell your friends, tell them we're going to have a couple tons of food to give away. So it's going to be really easy, really safe for them to come drive through and get it. So definitely spread the word about that. Anybody participate in the one last week? I'm sure Emma did. Yep. Well, what'd you get last week, Emma? meet? Yeah. Oh, your roommates ate it? No way. And also the 3D chalk art drawings made it really cool. It'll be one thing you can actually sit in or sit on and take the 3D picture with. It'll be on the mall in a couple weeks. So there's a lot during Spirit Month. I encourage you to get engaged. And if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us at any time. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Senator Gabbard. Senator, could you come to the mic, please?
Okay, just for the student events team, if they have any graphics that they want to promote on the student government pages, you can just email them to me. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So next, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is John Bulcock talking about university organizational structure. John, if you want to come on up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thanks to the Senate for willingness to listen and learn for a little bit here in terms of about some of the stuff that's going to be helpful to you during your term in office. Some of you who've served as senators before may have heard this. Several of you we know are new, and for those joining us remotely who may not be a student government, senators or officers, hopefully you learned something a little bit. I serve as the advisor for student government, and one of the things that I try to do is try to help make sure that students understand a little bit about the university structure, how some things work around here, and some of the titles and the ways collective bargaining works and what that means on campus. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit here. So we're going to go from high level to some stuff that you may work through or you may not work directly with, but it'll help to have an understanding of. So we're just going to go through this, and if you have questions along the way, feel free to ask. Also, because titles and things like that and people in roles tend to change a little bit, if there is anything that those who are watching observe that is not accurate, this is based on what I know and what I was able to find in the most recent org charts. I think this is fairly accurate to what we're actually working with right now as a university, though. So we're going to start talking about the university's administrative structure. What's above you now and on the screen is the general university organizational chart when it comes to the president and the president's cabinet. So when we talk about the cabinet, oftentimes those people are the vice presidents of the university, and there are also some folks who serve in that role who may be administrative support or like the president's chief of staff, and you'll see those people named on there. So at the top of the org chart for the university, you have President Richard Davenport. President Davenport reports to the chancellor of the university, who in turn works with the board of trustees. But here on our local campus, President Davenport is the chief executive officer of the university. And then you'll see lower on the organizational chart, we have his executive assistant and his chief of staff. They do a lot of the behind-the-scenes work for the university and help President Davenport. He can't have his hands on everything, so he's got some staff that help do that as well. So, but then we move down into the cabinet where we have the various university vice presidents. There are several of them on campus. And I'm not sure if any are joining in the crowd today, but we have heard from several of them, and some of them are names that will sound very familiar to you. On your left, the first vice president that you'll see is the vice president of diversity and inclusion that was previously known as the dean of institutional diversity. The person has not changed. His title has changed to a vice president, and that's Vice President Henry Morris. The next there is the vice president for academic affairs. Academic affairs is the chief, it's the primary mission of the institution is academics and the granting of degrees. And the person who's in that role on an interim basis is Dr. Matt Cecil. I'm going to talk just a moment about the titles interim and acting because you're going to see them both during today's presentation. If somebody has an interim title, it means that they are temporarily serving in a role for which there is not another person hired on campus right now. Okay? So, Matt Cecil is serving as the interim provost and vice president for academic affairs, which means that there is not another one on campus. They're not on sabbatical, or they're not serving in a different role, so he is the interim position. We're going to see a couple of acting deans. Matter of fact, there is a dean who is an acting position because they are filling in for somebody who is, they're filling in for a position that does have somebody who's already in it. So, for the College of Arts and Humanities, Dr. Chris Brown is the acting dean of the College of Arts and Humanities because he is filling in for the position that Dr. Matt Cecil is actually named to, or is filling in, is in when he's not filling in the provost role. So interim, they're filling a role that there's not somebody else in. Acting, they're temporarily serving in a role that there is somebody technically hired for already on campus, okay? So we're going to talk about that. We'll see a couple of acting deans when we get here. The next vice president you'll see on there is the one who is working most closely with student government most of the time. Matter of fact, in the university's chart, student government works up through and reports to Dr. David Jones, Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. Your next vice president is actually somebody who has left the university since this org chart was created. This org chart was created in July, and Bobby Fleischman has left the institution, but Dr. Terry Wallace is currently serving in our interim role, working with strategic, business, educational, and regional partnerships. So, but Dr. Fleischman has left the institution, and Dr. Terry Wallace is currently serving in that role. Human Resources is not a vice president level position, but the Director of Human Resources does report directly to the president of the university. The next vice president is Mr. Rick Straka, who is the vice president for administration and finance. He oversees the financial matters of the institution, business contracts, the money guy. So if you get a chance to thank Rick Straka, I think he's got one of the most difficult jobs on campus right now. So I don't know how he sleeps at night, but he's doing a great job. Equal Opportunity and Title IX is another office that reports directly to the president. It's not a vice president level position, but it does report directly to the president. That office investigates matters of discrimination, domestic and sexual violence and harassment, among other things on campus. And they also work with the hiring processes here at the university. University Advancement is Mr. Kent Stanley. Kent Stanley oversees the Alumni Association. The university's foundation, which is the charitable arm of the university, does fundraising and friend-raising. And then the next vice president you have is Mr. Mark Johnson, who oversees IT solutions. And I can't see if there's another one on the end over there or not. Yes, okay, thank you. And then the final vice president is Dr. Lynn Akey, who is the vice president for student success analytics. She's got a really long title, but she works with a lot of the assessment here at the university and some of the very success-focused projects that focus on retaining our students and seeing them through to graduation. I'm going to give just an overview of the two main divisions that you work with as a student government, okay? I'm not going to focus on administration and finance or advancement, and I'm not going to get too far into diversity and inclusion, but I'm going to get into the two divisions that your main two committees are named after, okay? Academic affairs and student affairs, okay? So those are the two divisions that I'm going to talk about because a lot of the issues that you're going to work with will deal with something going on within one of these two divisions. So the first being academic affairs, as I mentioned, Dr. Matt Cecil is the interim vice president, interim provost and senior vice president for academic affairs. So academic affairs oversees undergraduate education, research and graduate education, and then also the academic deans report to the person in this position. Some of the positions on the left are some of the interim or the associate VPs who work within this division. And at least one of them is the reason for another acting dean over here. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Dr. Jennifer Veltzos she's more often than not here at the student government meetings. I can't see if she's here today. but she has been here before, and she is here quite often. She's the interim Associate Vice President for Undergraduate Education. Dr. Brian Martinson is the second ranking within the division, really, and he is interim in that role, but he is also the dean of the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology. Okay, so you'll see over on the right, you'll see the name Dr. Aaron Budge, who is the acting dean of the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology. So again, all of the academic deans, part of academic affairs, obviously, and they report directly to the provost. So within the structure of academic affairs are typically what you will see among the faculty ranks. On the next slide, please. Working your way up through from instructors all the way up through the division, you will see your faculty members. And part of the reason we go through this hierarchy, for lack of a better phrase, is when you're trying to troubleshoot a problem, it's oftentimes, at least in my experience, best to start with those who have the most direct, immediate effect. Okay? So if I'm taking a class and I have a problem with something that's going on in the class, what do you think is probably the most effective way to handle that? Who's the first person you're going to talk to? The professor, right? Okay? It's not going to be very effective right away if you, rather than talking to the professor about an issue in the class, if you go run into Dr. Cecil. Okay, that's going to take some time. He's not going to know what's going on. And also, people try not to step on toes around here a little bit. Okay? So if you've got a problem that you want to address, the faculty member is your first step usually. Okay? And then, if you can't resolve an issue with the faculty member, all the faculty members have a department chair. Okay? And then the department chair reports to the dean. And then the dean can take stuff up to the associate VP. And then the associate VP can take it up to the senior associate VP, all the way up to the provost. Okay? So that hierarchy is kind of the structure through which problems and issues work themselves. Okay? There's a parallel one kind of in student affairs. But for academic affairs, if you're on that committee and you're helping students through an issue, or if you're working with a grade appeal, which is one of the most direct things that this process would be used for, a grade appeal is always going to start with the faculty member. Always, always, always going to start with the faculty member. Okay? And it's going to work its way up. And most often, the person who oversees that process and where the buck kind of stops is with Dr. Veltzos. Okay? It makes it to that level. Okay? So, are there any questions before I move on to student affairs? Any questions about academic affairs? Okay. Student affairs, that is the division that student government falls under and is part of. It's led by Dr. David Jones, who is the Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. Recruitment, transition programs, family programs, the admission process to the university, student services, student activities, campus life, residential life. So academic affairs deals with a lot of the stuff that happens inside the classroom and has a direct academic impact. Student affairs deals with a lot of stuff that happens outside the classroom. Okay? And so you'll see within student affairs there are several directors who are part of the division. One of them is sitting in the room with you right now. Okay? He's the guy sitting back there in the purple polo. So Mark Constantine is one of the directors who reports up through the Division of Student Affairs. Some of these names are probably pretty familiar to you because they are here semi-regularly doing whether it updates about their programs or budget requests, because a lot of them work with budgets that need to be approved or at least recommended or heard out by student government. So Cindy Janney is the Dean of Students and Director of Res Life. And she also deals with student conduct. Sandy Schnorenberg is the Director of University Security. Mark for the CSU. Wendy Shu is Student Health Services. That falls within the Division of Student Affairs. Todd Fingston in Campus Rec. Brian Jones for Undergraduate Admissions. He's probably the one who I haven't seen here at a student government meeting in a while, but he's probably one of the most busy directors in the division as well. Nikki Stock oversees new student and family programs, which includes orientation and all of that. Pam Weller is in the Career Development Center, and then Dr. Carrie Much is the director of the Counseling Center. So those are the areas that really, within the Division of Student Affairs, are those that Dr. Jones oversees. Now, like there's a hierarchy and a structure in academic affairs, there's also one in student affairs. Oftentimes we will have graduate student staff who will be working with us, and those folks usually, we have also support staff, whether it be a business manager or an administrative assistant who work within the division as well. And then program coordinators, assistant directors. My title is Assistant Director of Student Activities, okay? I report to an associate director. That associate director is a gentleman by the name of Greg Wilkins, okay? Who does Greg Wilkins report to? Mark, okay? So you see how we kind of work our way up through that hierarchy. Again, part of this, if you're working with a student who's got an issue, okay, and there's something that you want to try to help them resolve, it makes most sense to go to the person who has the most direct impact, okay? So if it's something about, lack of resources in Stadium Heights, okay, rather than going to Dr. Jones to complain about lack of resources in Stadium Heights, it might work to go to the area director for Stadium Heights, and then possibly an assistant director, associate director of residence life, and work with the way on up through that chain until the issue is resolved. But most often, when you've got an issue, going to the people who have the most direct impact on it, that's the most effective. It'll oftentimes get you the quickest solution and one that makes sense for everybody involved. Okay? So always want to encourage you to start with whoever has the most direct impact and works most regularly with the program or issue that you're working with. Okay? Sometimes it's tempting to go straight, oh, I see David Jones all the time in the hallway. I'm just going to go to him for every problem. He may or may not even know what the issue is that you're talking about. Nobody may have ever said anything to him. It might be a surprise. But if you want to see a direct impact, if you have an issue with fraternity sorority life or something with off-campus housing, I work with those programs day in and day out and have the ability to do something about it. So, okay. Any questions about student affairs and academic affairs? Any of our folks joining virtually online have anything to correct me on? Did I miss anything? Nope. Cool. So we're going to talk a little bit about collective bargaining. What is it? So a lot of it has to do with employment contracts, okay? And some of the stuff, you're not going to deal directly with employment contracts at the university, okay? But we have collective bargaining and we have shared governance, okay? Collective bargaining really has to do with the employment aspects of things, okay? Most employees on campus are members of a union, okay? Every staff member who's in this room and most of the staff members who are joining you on that Zoom call, we're all part of a union and represented by one of those bargaining units within the state, okay? So I'm going to not go into all of the details. You can see a lot of the stuff on here. But the thing that is key is that we're part of a shared governance structure, okay? That's where student government comes into play more, is with the concept of shared governance. And that means that decisions that impact the university and the students here, those decisions and the ideas are talked about by multiple stakeholder groups before they're really implemented, okay? We try to share ideas and get feedback on the things that are going to be implemented that affect those on campus, okay? So in a sense, even though student government isn't collectively bargaining for student employment necessarily, student government is the student's voice in shared governance, okay? So when it comes to new policies or procedures or the price of a parking permit out there, okay? Student government and those who are appointed to committees or other roles through student government serve as the student's voice in that shared governance process, okay? The second big bullet point down there, you'll hear the phrase meet and confer. All of the bargaining units, the units each have a monthly meeting with management, which consists of the president and his cabinet, Those monthly meetings take place, and that's where the issues facing the university and students come up. There's a meet and confer next week for student government that we had a meeting today to talk about what was going to be on the agenda for that meeting. There is some common stuff that comes up at every meet and confer with every bargaining unit, but then there are some things that are specific to students and student government that your leadership will have the opportunity to bring up. So it's, again, an opportunity for feedback, an opportunity to make sure people are informed about what's going on campus, whether it's a hot button issue or right now we're getting budget updates at all of these meet and confers because there's a lot of stuff changing with the university budget. We also get updates about policy changes and policy review. And there's just that's the opportunity for that information to be shared and for feedback to be given. It's a feedback cycle. Okay? As I mentioned, almost all of the employees on campus are part of a bargaining unit or a union. I don't need to get into too much detail about these, but you can see that there are quite a few different ones on campus. We're not all part of the same union. I'm part of a union. Your folks running the cameras are part of a different union than mine, okay? The administrative assistant in the CSU office is a part of a different union. Your faculty members are part of the interfaculty organization, which is a union. So you can see again that there are a whole bunch of different unions represented, represented employees on campus. Some of them are not specific to the university. AFSCME is one that represents state and municipal employees all across the state of Minnesota. Okay? Some of the unions are specific to the campuses. Okay? As I mentioned, this is a leadership organization. We look to you to be the voice of the students. So it's important to remember that while you may be part of specific organizations or groups on campus, you're serving as a representative voice for all students on campus, okay? You've got a constituency that you represent. If you're an allied health and nursing senator, guess what? Your constituency is all students in the College of Allied Health and Nursing, okay? And I just used that as an example. The concerns and opinions brought to you by your fellow students are important, should be heard. You should feel empowered to be able to go to somebody to seek out a solution to those. And by the end of your term, you're going to know how to just take care of them right away, some of them right away yourself anyway. And so if there's an issue that is big enough, affecting students on a large enough scale, that feedback goes all the way to the Board of Trustees. And so that's heard through your statewide student association as well. We mentioned committees, and you keep hearing your leadership talk about committees and the need for people, and you see on your agenda every week appointments to committees. There are far more seats on committees, commissions, boards than you all can fill. That's why getting involved in committees is a great way for people to start out their early leadership journey. So, Andrew and Kara, any idea how many current openings there are on committees or RNB? A lot. Okay. And that's even considering that most senators have already been appointed to the ones that they need to be appointed to. So there are still a lot of openings, but that student voice is important. Those committees will convene if they don't have students with them, but that just means there's not a student voice there. Okay? And there are certainly some committees on campus where you do not want that student voice to be unheard. So as you talk to people who are concerned about things, some of the best ways to actually know about what's going on and to make a difference and to help be part of the decision-making process is to get involved with those committees. So we want to encourage you to do that. These are some of the groups that are recognized by student government. I mentioned boards, commissions. You have some independent ones that there are appointees to, but that student government doesn't actually have a say in what they do. Okay? So, for example, in order to encourage a free press, there's a newspaper board, yes, that needs to have voices heard, but student government can't go to that newspaper board and tell them what they have to do necessarily. Okay? That's why they are independent. They're recognized, but they have independent authority. The Constitution Commission is another one of those. And again, they make decisions. They don't need to be approved by the Senate. Those groups need to be able to function with autonomy. So you have some internal committees. You can see those. Most of you are part of those. Your student affairs and academic committees are internal. And there's a whole list of those. Then there are some university-wide committees too that aren't necessarily coordinated by student government, but student government makes appointees to them, makes appointments to them. It's kind of like my union makes appointments to them as well. So there are several different types. There are independent ones that have autonomy and authority that student government can't, doesn't have to rubber stamp their decisions. There are the internal committees that if you take action, oftentimes you may pass a resolution or ask for approval from the student government. And then there are university-wide committees where you truly are the student's voice and you are empowered by your voice to go and express that on behalf of the students. Impact and input and feedback is important, obviously, in our shared governance system. They really want to hear what the students have to say. If you are serving on a university-wide committee, or any committee for that matter, one of my biggest piece of advice for you is to do what you need to do to be informed to go into those, okay? Some of these committees have been functioning, and it's a continuation of that committee functioning that you're getting involved with. And so it might take a little bit of work to communicate with the convener of the committee and say, okay, can you catch me up here? So that when you go into that committee meeting, you have an idea of what they're talking about. So being informed and being able to articulate your thoughts and opinions on behalf of the students is very important. They're going to try to do it based on availability. It's important to be in meetings, and if you're not there, to actually be caught up and to catch information when you miss something. When you go to those meetings, I believe they count these as office hours for you. Okay, that's part of your ability is to record those. But then when you go to those committees, be sure you bring that information back so that people know what's going on. Because you might need feedback from your fellow senators or from other students around the table. So be sure to report back what those committees are doing. Keep your folks updated. And just remember that you are the voice for students. So this presentation is just intended to give you a little bit of an idea about the structure of the university, how things work, and where student government's place is in that shared governance. So at this time, thank you for allowing me to present. I'm happy to answer or entertain any questions there may be.
Are there any questions for John? President Trenny.
So if I have a later question, where can I find this presentation?
This presentation is located in the same folder where you all are able to access your meeting agendas. It's in that Teams folder for senators. So it's in there with today's meeting agenda.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Awesome. So now we're going to move on to open forum. Is there anyone here for open forum? Is there anyone here? Vice President Johnson.
Yeah, I know you're probably shocked I haven't been here for this, at least for a week. But we're here to try to make sure we continue to keep the student government informed and have discussions with you on a number of topics. I was happy to hear about the team or the Spirit Month, and there was a special mention about the esports, and that she didn't know quite as much about it, but I know you all did because I brought one of the ACIOs with me last week and we briefed you on it. I'm happy to say there'll be a press release going out tomorrow and hopefully sometime in the weekend, more information about that event and those series of things happening with esports. So I'm trying to keep you up to date, trying to get a little ahead of those things. The other one I wanted to just quickly mention was, and then I was gonna, if it's all right with you, I was gonna have Assistant CIO Kathy Hughes just tell you a few things about help for students related to IT. But the second one I want to talk about is FlexSync. And those of you that are experiencing that in your classrooms know that a few of the classrooms we didn't get all the equipment for because of the rush for those speakers and those microphones. All the equipment has arrived, and we're working really, really rigorously to try to get all those rooms online. So we had over 100 done. We have about 20 left, and we're really feeling good about within the next week or so we'll have them done. So I wanted to keep you posted. I ran through that a few weeks ago with you, what was happening with that. I called it the order that we made before the toilet paper ran out and the order we made it right after the toilet paper ran out, unfortunately. So what we were able to quickly get it remanufactured for us, and we didn't buy any toilet paper, just so you know. I'm just joking around. All right. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to have Kathy Hughes, and she's going to talk about IT help for students and a whole bunch of things we're going to be doing for students, and we want your input. Would that be okay?
Yep, go for it.
Thank you.
All right, terrific.
Hi, I'm Kathy Hughes. I am the Assistant CIO for Solutions Delivery in IT Solutions, and I want to share with you some of the new ways that the IT Solutions Center can help you with your technology-related questions and problems wherever you are and however you'd like for us to work with you. So for when you are on campus, we have new this year, we have live tech help kiosks in a couple of different places on campus. If you're in Wigley Administration Building near the cashier's office, on the first floor of the library, and also in the Solutions Center in Wissink Hall, you can simply walk up to the kiosk and one of our staff is on the other end, almost like a live Zoom call, and they can help you with whatever your problem is. So if you're, when you're getting this live help, you're also safely distant from your live help. So it's the best of both worlds. So from this kiosk station, we can help you connect to the internet with a wired connection if necessary if you're having problems with your connection wirelessly. And also we can remote into your computer and help you out that way if needed too. And one of the things that's kind of neat about this kiosk help is that we have taken the concept of the technology that we've used in the FlexSync rooms, and now we are bringing it to additional parts of campus to be able to help students not only in the classroom but just where you're having your technology issues. So whether or not you are on or off campus, you can take advantage of our live chat help. Our Solutions Center consultants are on the other end helping you via chat. And if it's necessary, it's really easy from that chat pop-up to open up a Zoom meeting, and you can talk with them that way, or they can remote right into your computer and help you that way as well. Also, from either on or off campus, you can drop into one of our support sessions via Zoom. And you can find the link to those sessions on our IT Solutions Get Help page. And we're ready and online to help you Monday through Saturday if you just want to talk to us through Zoom. We have worked with the student union folks to have space right there in the student union to offer some walk-in help. So in addition to the IT Solutions Center in Wissink Hall, we'll have a Solutions Center location also right there in the union. And so you can expect to see more about that in the next week or two as we finalize those details. And of course, we always continue to help you over the phone and walk-in support. We have Monday through Friday support with phone and walk-in, and then extended phone support available for you on Saturdays. So those are some of the new and some of the continuing things that we are working on to help you when you have technology needs. If you have feedback or questions, I would love to hear them.
Wonderful. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Let's check the chat. Senator Gabbard.
Hello. Okay, this isn't really my area because I'm in academic affairs, but I have heard from many students that the internet in the residential halls is a little spotty because they switched from Spectrum. So I was just wondering if IT could explain like how they switched to internet over the summer and what their plans are to address those issues.
Sure, I'm going to have Assistant CIO Brian Schneider answer that question. We don't provide the internet in the res halls, but we assist the residential life team with that. So I think Brian has pretty good information about what changed, and then he would definitely be interested in knowing if we have any issues. I'm sure you get that reported and taken care of. So Brian?
What Mark said is correct. There was a change from Charter Spectrum to Apogee. It's a company that specializes in residential networks and also TV services and IP television. And they are going to be making a change next week. I think it's going to be Tuesday early morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. They're actually going to be changing from a temporary network that they put in place to their permanent network. So that might resolve some of the issues that you may have seen. But if there are any problems that you are experiencing in the residence halls, you should report those directly to Apogee, and they have on-site support person that's hired to take care of issues. And they also have text and chat support, telephone support, and anything that gets reported to Apogee. Residential life staff and IT staff review that every month. So we'll be able to determine if they're failing to resolve those issues. There was a little bit of a rush to get everything connected and working correctly, and not everything is in place yet. So residents don't have to register their devices yet. The networks are pretty open and unsecured. But all that is going to be changing as they get the equipment in and get everything configured. That'll probably be over winter break. But there is going to be a change to a new internet service provider, and that's going to be next Tuesday morning at 4 o'clock, probably between 4 o'clock and 4:30. And that might bring a little bit more speed and a little bit more reliable service.
Yeah, I want to just clarify one thing. Brian said that Apogee is a company that focuses on residential service. What he meant to say was resident hall service. So they're specialized in doing what we were asking them to do. So they're known in the industry, and they're a well-known company, and there was a good process they went through to determine that. We may have some startup pains, and again, we'd love to hear about that. And I don't know if anybody else would want to comment on that. It's not completely an IT issue, but we'd love to help in any way we could with that.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on. Is there anybody else here for open forum? One second, we're having technical difficulties. Okay, is there anyone here for open forum? No? Seeing none, then we're going to go ahead and move on. So next we're going to go into the approval of the consent agenda. Is there any dissent to the approval of the consent agenda? Is there any dissent? Any dissent? Okay, seeing none, I assume unanimous consent and the approval of the consent agenda is approved. So next we're going to go ahead and move on to officer reports. President Trenny.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for everyone for coming today. So I just have a couple updates. One, and I will share my screen. So we had our Students United board meeting, and again, for those that don't know what Students United is, that is our statewide student association. So you'll see that not only does each student pay into it, but they do represent us at the state and federal level, and at the system level as well. So we had our board meeting. I'm your board of director member. All the student body presidents are as well. And so we created new committees this year. We've revamped them from previous years. So again, we are asking for people to be a part of them just because we need so many people. So I'm just going to go through the list of the new committees we created. Traditionally, for those that know what delegates is, that is proportional to each student body. So we as Mankato have 10, and then you can see the breakup of the other institutions. We'll be having a November conference. Obviously, it'll be online, but we'll be having delegates meet as well again. Again, delegates makes all the recommendations to the board from the other committees. So I'll be needing at least 10 people from student government. They can also be just normal students as well. You don't have to be a senator to be on these. So please also share these with your constituents, because the more we have students at these committees, the more voices will be heard. So that's delegates, and that will again meet in November. And most of these committees will only meet twice a year, so once and another. And obviously that can change as well. The next is in internal affairs. That is the body that looks at our governing documents, ours as in the Students United governing documents, not our local ones. And they review the strategic plan, provide input and ideas. Again, so for these committees, there's only 2 students from each institution. So there'll be 2 students from Mankato serving on it. And then we have another one. It's different this year. This is a new one. It's called Legislative Priorities Committee, or Advisory Committee. And this looks at our state and federal agenda and makes recommendations on those as well, but also maintaining that we want to still be discussing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and access issues at a legislative level, and environmental and sustainability issues at a legislative level. And again, these will make recommendations to the board about what does our lobbyists want to talk about? What do we want to advocate as students? So it's a good committee to be on. The other one new this year is called the System Priorities Advisory Committee. So Students United is taking a new approach of ensuring we have more of a presence at the system level. So again, that's the Minnesota State system. So that's the system that oversees all community colleges and 7 state universities. So this will give recommendations on what are our priorities at the system level. What do students and our institutions feel that the system should be considering or looking at? Again, this is, for example, for a committee this, the international student healthcare would be at this one, or health insurance, or anything like that, system level. Online differentials could fall under this. And we'll have 2 students on this committee as well. And then we have 2 ad hoc committees this year. So one is the Campus Engagement Advisory Committee. So if you were a campus staff member in previous years, so that's our coordinators and our people that were on the local level, we are not having that program this year. And we'll be kind of re-looking at that program to see what changes we want to make to it and what the purpose of it in the future will be. Again, I think, we'll have 2 per campus. So if you really want to see how Students United can be effective at the local level, this is a good ad hoc committee to be on as well. And then lastly, kind of every institution, every body does this. They have a strategic plan. It's usually like a 5 to 7 year plan, typically 5. We're up in our 5-year strategic plan. So this committee will look at what does Students United want to be in the next 5 years? What are our goals as Students United? What's the purpose? What ideas? What's our vision and our mission? So this ad hoc committee will look at that. And again, there's 2 students on this. So my big ask from everyone in here is think about joining one. They only will meet twice, right? It's not like weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. It's going to be twice. So if you really want to have your voice heard at a higher level and to meet other people from other institutions, please let me know. Email me. You all have my email, andrew.turney@mnsu.edu. And the best thing is you don't have to, so you can serve on 1, you can serve on 2. I do ask everyone to at least try to join delegates because we do need 10 for that committee. But like I said, if you really want to get involved, please let me know. We do need people. We won't need it until October, so just think about it. Let me know. It'll be first come, first serve as well for that. So I'll stop sharing. Are there any questions on this specific topic? Because it's kind of a big one. Okay, seeing none. I think that was everything from our board meeting that we did. The other thing I'd mention is Vice President Maltari and I we begun more of our in-depth conversations on the mental health initiative, the one that student government we passed last week in our late hour session. We've seen a lot of positive feedback coming from the university, and we'll continue those conversations. I just wanted to update you all that we are still progressing those conversations, and we'll probably see more in the next couple weeks on what or how it will be implemented. And then the last thing I would mention, or one of the last things, is going back to our course fee resolution we passed 3 weeks ago. Vice President Maltari and I also had a meeting with the Associate Provost, and we are working out language right now to make a committee to look at course fees and the online differential. So you'll either see that through the meet and confer process or come have a presentation at student government of what that committee will look like. But a lot of big wins on our side of things. The other thing I'd mention, what are they called? The groups, the mentoring groups, is that what they're called? Cohort, wow. Cohorts, okay, so anyways, as everyone saw the email from the speaker, we'll be having groups of you guys meeting with us. My group, I haven't emailed you yet, I apologize, and I'm gonna get in trouble for that later, but I apologize. Stay tuned for my email. And then the last thing I'd mention too, and I'm sure the speaker will talk more about it, but we'll be having the chancellor come next week to do a listening session on the next president of the university. So I'll be sending out a document, kind of things to ponder or things to think about. So when you do come, we're not just sitting here in awkward silence and wasting his time. He is the chancellor. So we will have that as well. So please also look over that over the weekend. And also just think, what do you want the next president to be? What do you want our institution to be? It's the first time in 20 years we've had to relook, or 19, at hiring a new president. So it's a very important process that our predecessors have never had to go through, and we're lucky that we get to go through this right now. So please take the time to think and reflect and ask questions. With that, I yield for any questions.
Are there any questions for President Trenny? Any questions? Any questions?
Oh, can I go back one more thing? Sorry.
Yes, President Trenny.
As John mentioned, please, we have more committee vacancies. I'm talking about like the fee committees. No one joined any new ones besides some students that joined today. But again, we need more people. We can't do our jobs to relook at fees without students on these committees. So people not joining them is actively hindering our progress to accomplishing goals students want us to see. So if you have an extra time to join another committee or you just have friends that want to join it, please reach out and ask. We do need more people. I'm serious. We don't have a lot of people applying for them. So yeah, please do that as well. I yield.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to Vice President Multari.
For my officer report, I do not have a lot of things. But let's just, yeah, so some of you might have received an email from me earlier today, as President Trenny mentioned, for cohorts. So yeah, just please reply to me and let me know your availability. We can schedule a time and then talk about your future projects. And our library and bookstore committee met on Friday, and I would like to announce our chair as Ryan Wolford and vice chair as Diksha Karki. They both will be chairing, and there is still openings on that committee if you're interested in library or bookstore issues or anything with the discussions involved in library and bookstore. Other than this, I've been working on Chipotle fundraiser still with Karen Anderson from Community Engagement Office and Campus Kitchen. I would request you all to ask your constituents and your friends to promote the event because we need to raise funds. And I hope we all can go together after the next meeting on next Wednesday for the fundraiser and raise funds for the Campus Kitchen. And other than this, our walk-ins hours are posted on Instagram again, on the social media, all of it. Please feel free to reach out to me and President Trenny and let us know if you have any concerns. Thank you. With that, I yield.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to my officer report. So I have just a couple things. First of all, like across the board, really great job with office hours. It was really fun to be able to like go through and see what everybody's working on. And it was awesome to see the initiative that people are taking to just really get after their projects. So that's great to see. Just a reminder, you can find the form to submit that on our Engage page under forms. We'll make it live next week when they'll be due again. So keep working on those, but those are looking great. Next, just one other reminder with that is these meetings that we're currently in don't count. So student government meetings don't count, but committee meetings and everything like that does. If you join those Students United committees, those I would count those as well for office hours. Yeah, President Trenny kind of talked on this, but we're going to start doing those bi-weekly meetings with your like cohort. I think this is a really important step to just make sure that like we are staying in line with the goals that you guys set while running, and just making sure that it's less about us making sure you're doing your projects and more about us making sure you have the resources and you are able to take the next steps to do it by yourself. And so making sure that you're provided with everything that you need to be successful in accomplishing those goals. And then we're also looking to start doing some Senate like events to just like hang out and get to know each other. This is a super formal setting, and plus we're all 6 feet apart. And so it's kind of difficult to even know the other senators you're supposed to be working with. So know that like we see that, and that's definitely a major problem. So we have some things in the works to like plan some events where we could just like hang out and get to know each other. And then hopefully that will make everything run smoother and have us all be more comfortable with each other. But that was that. And then lastly, we have our Dean of the Day here with us today. So Dean Rutherford, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm so glad to see so many faces and then lots of names. But I'm always pleased to attend student government and love to hear the discussions of issues and really enjoyed the overview of Students United and being engaged, within the system at a higher level. So thank you for letting me be Dean of the Day.
Thank you. Are there any questions for me? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're now going to move on to senator reports. So first up, we have Senator Weinzierl.
All right. So, my name is Andrew Weinzierl. I'm an off-campus senator. And for those of you that have seen my senator reports in the past, they're not going to be as eloquent or long this time. But I have just 3 points I want to talk about today for 3 different kind of roles that I'm helping or projects that I'm working on. First and foremost is what's called Civic Engagement Mobilization Committee, formed through the student government, of which I'm co-chair with Senator Swankut. First and foremost, I was working both early in the year and during the summer on promoting the U.S. Census. And just want to let you know, it ends September 30th. And that applies to absolutely everyone, whether you're an international student or not, that you have to fill it out by September 30th, based on where you should have been living on April 1st. Right now, though, I'm working because the U.S. election is coming up really quickly. It's about 40 days away, with the head election judge head election official here at Blue Earth County. And we're working directly on strategically planning how we're going to increase voter turnout, voter registration, making sure people are aware of their voting location if it changed because of the current pandemic. Many things have changed in the past months, and things could continue to change too before Election Day. And so we're working on that in particular. We are investigating possibilities, for example, to get students on a bus off campus so that they can vote ahead of Election Day. For those of you not aware, you can actually start voting right now as well. Secondly is the Maverick gaming community. I know we talked about esports already twice. I'm only going to touch on it really quickly, but I helped co-found it back in 2019 to connect people that play video games with each other and to help put on events such as the tournament that's coming up on October 3rd. You heard the student events team, you already heard it, so I don't need to touch on that too much more, other than the fact that I'm helping oversee the planning and logistics, and that we do have we're giving a Alienware PC away. It's about a $1,500 value. We're really excited to do stuff like that on that front. Third, finally, is billing options for student accounts. Now, I wish I had more of an update on this one. It's really complicated. We're in the very early stages right now. There's many implications to this project. It has many moving parts. It's going to require a lot of time and effort to make real progress on. And it's more of an investigative project right now before it hopefully becomes a progressive one. So that's kind of a caveat, first and foremost. But I plan on talking to Rick Straka. For those of you that were paying attention during John Volkoff's presentation, he's the Vice President of Finance and Administration. And we're going to be talking about the possibility of building those retail-type bills that students can accumulate to their student accounts. So right now, you might be familiar with billing things such as parking or library fines to your student account, but not things or streamlined in a fashion that students would want for things such as meal plans, computers, or from the bookstore with current limitations. The current pandemic also has really brought to light the importance of being able to provide these things to students, especially when it comes to a computer, for example, because people watching online right now know this. You need a computer in order to succeed in class. So that's one project that I'm working on right now. So with that, I can take any questions.
Yeah, are there any questions for Senator Weinzierl? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
I actually raised my hand on Zoom.
Oh, Senator Walford?
Yeah. So I was wondering what kind of initiatives are being taken up before Election Day to get out the vote?
Yeah, right now, actually yesterday, through the committee, I don't know to what extent Brian or Senator Swankott is going to speak on this, but we did some tabling for voter registration day. We're able to register people that live in the residence halls to vote. As for get out the vote, the plan that the county has laid forward, because I'm serving as what I like to call a liaison between the county and the university, is waiting until after the pre-registration deadline. The most important thing right now, through guidance from the Secretary of State, is to get people registered and figure out their plan. And then after the October 13th, which is the pre-registration deadline, we're really going to focus on get out the vote. We're going to focus on getting people to the polls if they would like before Election Day in November. And it's going to require a lot of work. We don't have too much, honestly, planned right now. But we're going to try our hardest to make sure that students have that opportunity and that the pandemic doesn't restrict them from casting their vote and making their voice heard.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Oh yeah, we can clap. Good job. Okay, Senator Swankott?
I think this mic is still on, isn't it?
Yep.
Is it? Perfect. Ooh. Yeah, my name is Brian Swankott. I'm a residential life senator. I also, as Senator Weinzierl said, serve as co-chair of the Civic Engagement Mobilization Committee. On that front, there may be a couple events coming up that's kind of in flux right now due to things with the pandemic. There may be an event on October 15th. I have to get more confirmation on that. And then there will maybe be an event later in October with the National Residence Hall Honorary that I'm working on right now for more of a get out the vote thing. But that information will be forthcoming. And then as far as my project, I'm working on using empty rooms in the res halls for students who are facing temporary housing crisis issues. I have reached out to Karen Anderson. She's my supervisor for the Campus and Election Engagement Project Fellowship that I'm doing. And we have a lot going on with that. So we're going to discuss that at a later date. But that's in the works. And I also have reached out to the social work program as a potential partner in that for connecting students to longer term resources. I actually just got an email back during this meeting from Dr. Gohagen, who's the chair of the social work department. So that is moving forward a lot faster than I thought it would. But that's all I have for my update.
Wonderful. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Senator Swankott. Great. Okay, so now moving on to vacancies. We don't have any elections today, but we do have 2 Res Life spots and 1 Allied Health and Nursing position that are all up for election next week. So try and get your friends or constituents or anybody to run for those positions. Next on our agenda is new business. We have none. Next is old business. We have none. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to announcements. Are there any announcements? Are there any announcements? Okay, I have an announcement. I would just like to bring to everyone's attention, if you know students who are experiencing food insecurity, there is a new resource on campus. It's called the Swipe Out Hunger Program, and how it works is students can apply through the Sodexo website to receive 10 free meals that they can use at the dining center. It's completely anonymous, and the meals get loaded directly onto their MAV cards, so they go and stand in line and swipe their card just like everybody else, and can receive those meals. So please make sure you share that resource. Yeah. Are there any questions? Senator Roddick? What? Oh, okay, if you could come up. But wonderful. So Senator Roddick has an announcement.
So I just wanted to let everyone know that school has adapted to a new parking system, which is called the Flowbird app, and not a lot of people know about it. We have taken out all the parking meters in the school, which we used to use the slot machines, the coin slots. We don't use them anymore. Right now, we have introduced Flowbird, and you will have to download the app from on your mobile app and just go through it. The visitors pay lot is right now open most of the times, and we have always like somebody sitting in there till like 10 p.m. or like 8 p.m. I guess. And David Cohen is doing his best to like not to make sure that not everyone gets a fine because people are missing out on information. So I hope you guys will like help your peers to like get to know about it. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Constantine?
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Still awake? Okay, just want to check in and make sure everybody's good. I wanted to bring something to people's attention today. If you were around Mav Ave, you saw a news display going up on Mav Ave. The ISA, International Student Association, has been working for probably about 9 months with me about getting a display of all the international flags from all of our students that are going to school here, and it finally got up today. So it says, welcome international students. And then we have an alphabetical list of all the flags from all the different students that are going here. I wanted to thank Sanjaya Balami, who was the ISA president last year. He was the main instigator of this, and so all of you that know him around campus should thank him for all the good work he did. He kept all of us on track, continued to push the project. With the pandemic and COVID, we got behind obviously a little bit. We would have had this done when everybody arrived at the beginning of the year, but it's nice to see that finally done. And I guess one of the just mainly we want the international students to feel welcome here, and it's a way to go ahead and show that publicly to everybody and representing all their flags around the country. So just wanted to make sure if you haven't been down there yet, take a look, and you'll see it up on the soffit in the Mav Ave area along the way. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements? President Trenny.
So I got a call earlier this week. So does anyone in here ride bus routes 1A and 1B? Wait, let me clarify before I say. It says 1B North and 1A South. Okay. So they're going to be suspending that bus route until I don't know, after next year probably. Like next semester, sorry. Just because there's no riders on it, and they're having also a hard time getting drivers for it. So I believe you'll see it soon, like notification about that, but that bus route will be suspended. I think there is still routes you can use to get to campus, so please inform your constituents about that change. David Cohen's not here, but I will see if he can come next week and talk more about it, but he did give me that call and did tell me that those bus routes will be suspended, those two, so sorry. I do not give rides. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, are there any other announcements? Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. We're gonna go ahead and move on back into roll call. Senator Bigd.
Present.
Senator Gustafson. Senator Gabbard. Senator Vondra.
Here.
Senator Alimo. Senator Mendonça.
Present.
Senator Partey.
Present.
Senator Salim. Senator Salim. Senator Nemo.
Present.
Senator Hussain. Senator Khan. Senator Suna.
Present.
Senator El-Sadi.
Present.
Senator Albera.
Present.
Senator Osman. Senator Osman.
Here.
Senator Stiff. Senator Nelson.
Here.
Senator Weinzierl. Senator Wickman. Senator Ruiz.
Here.
Senator Wheeler.
Here.
Senator Shimazu. Senator Shimazu. Senator Roddick. Senator Bejarano.
Here.
Senator Swancutt, Senator Flynn, Senator Walford,
Here.
President Trenny, Vice President Maltari, and myself. Perfect. So then we are going to go ahead and adjourn at 5:15. Thank you, everybody.